Are there, little sailors? Are you ready to read? Alright, today's book is called Uno or Uno, however you like to pronounce it. Uno's Garden by Graeme. Now, this man makes lots of books, even when I was a wee little pirate, and all the pictures have things hidden in them that you can find. Don't know if that's going to work too well on here, but I'll try my best to show all the pictures. Alright, let's get started. Uno arrived in the forest on a beautiful day at the very beginning of spring. There to welcome him were 10 magnificent moopaloops and one completely ordinary snortelpig. Uno loved the forest so much he decided to live there. 10 moopaloops, 10 times 10 equals 100 plants, 0 buildings, and 1 snortelpig. They're all the things that are in this picture. It's a big one, very detailed. Uno climbed above the treetops. The forest seemed to go on forever. Swinging through the branches were 9 leaping lumpy bums and the completely ordinary snortelpig. So in this picture there's 9 lumpy bums, 81 plants, which is 9 times 9, 1 building, and 1 snortelpig. Oh, it's a very big book here. A bit tricky to show the pictures, but there's an even bigger picture near the end. Others followed Uno. They loved the forest too. They built their houses and boats, watched by 8 feathered frinklepods, and the snortelpig, of course. Uno began to work on a little garden. So, 8 frinklepods in this picture, 64 plants, which is 8 times 8, 1 plus 1 equals 2 buildings, and 1 snortelpig. Here's the other people that have come to the forest, building their houses, and there's Uno building his little garden. The fishermen's children played games amongst the trees. They counted 7 playful puddle butts, plus 1 snortelpig. A little village grew. So, 7 puddle butts, 7 times 7 equals 49 plants, 2 plus 2 equals 4 buildings, and 1 snortelpig. There's the kids playing in the forest. Try and make sure I get all the picture in so you can find some of these things, like the snortelpig. Some hunters went into the forest, looking for sneaky snagglebites. There were 6. But the hunters didn't catch them, or the snortelpig. 6 snogglebites, 6 times 6, which equals 36 plants, 4 plus 4 equals 8, there's 8 buildings, and 1 snortelpig. Tourists came. They saw 5 timid tumbletops, but that was all. Uno kept working in his garden, and the village became a town. So in this one, you look for 5 tumbletops. 5 times 5 equals 25 plants. 8 plus 8 equals 16 buildings. And you guessed it, 1 snortelpig. Here's everybody coming to check out all the animals and trees. But they're getting less and less, aren't they? As more people move into the town, there's less animals and plants to look at. Then the railway was built. Excited passengers watched for wild animals. They caught a glimpse of 4 grazing gondolopes. And what was that funny-looking creature back there? I think I know. So there's 4 gondolopes. 4 times 4 is 16 plants. 16 plus 16 equals 32 buildings and 1 snortle pig. There's everyone on the train. The town had become a city. A team of scientists arrived to study the animals. 3 flippered flipper flaps was all they found. 3 flipper flaps. 3 times 3 is 9. There's 9 plants. 32 plus 32 equals 64. And now there's 64 buildings and 1 snortle pig. It's a pretty tough customer, that snortle pig. Or that be the scientist there with the flipper flaps in the jar. Or not much left to look at now. The city grew bigger and bigger, and the forest grew smaller and smaller. Some workers came across 2 pointy pricklebacks. They had never seen anything like them. 2 pricklebacks. 2 times 2 is 4, and there's 4 plants. 64 plus 64 equals 128 buildings and 1 snortle pig. I wonder where he's hiding in this picture. I've been looking as I read and I can't see him all the time. A lone fisherman set his line in the river. He caught a car tire, several old boots, and a cold. He didn't see the snortle pig. In fact, nobody had seen one for so long, people weren't even sure they existed. 1 snortle pig. 1 times 1 equals 1 plant. 128 plus 128 equals 256 buildings. All the buildings have taken over the forest. There's no more plants or animals. There's the cheeky snortle pig. One grey morning, the people of the city woke up, looked out over the endless buildings, and were sad. Why do we live in a place like this? They asked themselves. There are no trees. So they left. 0 animals. 0 times 0 equals 0 plants. 256 plus 256 equals 512 buildings. No plants or animals around anymore. Knocked them all down and scared them all away for all their buildings. The city was dark and abandoned. Yuno opened his door and looked out. Sitting there in the garden amongst the plants that Yuno had saved was a snortle pig. completely ordinary in every way, except that it was there. The Snortle Pig lived in Uno's garden for many years. The city crumbled, forgotten. The Snortle Pig grew old and died. So did Uno, but the garden lived on. One Snortle Pig, one leafy tree, one old shack. Uno's children continued to care for the little collection of trees and plants, and slowly the forest returned. The children kept a diary of their discoveries. 2 pointy pricklebacks. So 2 pricklebacks, 3 feather ferns, 2 wigloos, but no Snortle Pig. 3 flippered flip-flops. 3 flippered flipper flaps. 3 flipper flaps, 3 wiggle weeds, 3 log cabins, but no Snortle Pig. Everything's slowly coming back to life. Four grazing gondolopes. So there was 4 gondolopes, 4 bobble grasses, 4 mountaintop lookouts, but no Snortle Pig. 5 timid tumbletops, 5 schmushel-mushes, that's a tricky word, and 5 gothic mansions, but no Snortle Pig. Over the years, Uno's grandchildren added to the list. 6 sneaky snagglebites, 6 shady blades, 6 mush rooms, but no Snortle Pig. 7 playful puddle butts, 7 wine vines, 7 enviro habitation pods, but no Snortle Pig. Their grandchildren added to the list too. 8 feathered frinkle pods, 8 trifflids, 8 houseboats, but no Snortle Pig. 9 leaping lumpy bums, 9 lumpy bums, 9 saucer weeds, 9 wigwams, but no Snortle Pig. Ten magnificent moopaloops, and on a beautiful day at the very beginning of spring, better show you this one first with the 10 moopaloops, the sunny cups, 10 of those, 10 castles, no Snortle Pig. Alright, this one's tricky because this one folds out into the next big picture. So, let's find out what happened on a beautiful day at the beginning of spring. The forest and the city found themselves in perfect balance. 10 times 10 equals 100 animals. 10 times 10 equals, that's right, 100 plants. And 10 times 10 equals 100 homes. Alright, this is the big picture. It might be a bit tricky, but we'll give it a shot. Oh, gosh. All right. Whew. That's a little bit tricky. Now the book's upside down. Stories were told of the days when an extraordinary creature had lived in Uno's garden. The children listened with wide eyes, and they never stopped believing that one day they would see a real, live snortle pig for themselves. There's a picture of the kids getting told the story. I reckon if we look close, maybe we'll find a snortle pig hiding in there somewhere. Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. And we've got one last little bit of the book here that talks about being balanced. A question of balance. Getting the balance right is not always easy, especially between what people need and what nature needs. And it's surprising how quickly things can change when you're not looking. A gradual decrease on one hand, with a small but accelerating increase on the other, can add up to big differences. The number games in Uno's garden show how this can happen. The animals number game is the most straightforward. Simple subtraction, one at a time, a steady countdown from 10 to 0. The plants game is another countdown, but this time reducing in a series of squares. A square is what you get when you multiply a number by itself. For example, 3 times 3 is 9, so that 9 is the square of 3. Here we see big numbers getting smaller very quickly. The buildings number game shows what happens when numbers are doubled. A tiny increase at first, but quickly accelerating, resulting in dramatic change. So when Uno's children have had the chance to start over, they are very careful to keep the numbers under control, because in the end, it's all a question of balance. By the way, if you're wondering about the number of people in each picture, in the first half of the book, it's the first 10 prime numbers. In the second half, it's the same as the number of rediscovered animals. And that's the end of the story. So that's Uno's Garden by Graeme Base. Good book with a bit of a message about it, which is important. But please do check out some of his other books if you get a chance. Great pictures and lots of things hidden to discover. All right, put that book away for now. See you next time.